New World PvP arenas are finally here, and the question is, will it save the game? Well, we'll talk about that at the end. First, we'll look through the patch notes, and then we'll try and answer that question. So here it is from the horse's mouth, Arenas update. Weirdly, they don't say this in the article, it's actually just as a news update, but it's calling it Arenas update, and it's happening tomorrow 1 PM. Tomorrow 1 PM in the UK will be the 26th of May. Pacific time, I think that's what that 5 AM relates to. It's 5 AM Pacific time, so what's that, maybe like 9 AM Eastern, something like that. So there you have it, the PvP arenas confirmed. Let's have a look what's in them. Strangely enough, they don't have like the preamble in the article that tells you what it is, when the patch is coming and stuff like that. They just call this like the spotlight. It's a little bit strange, but we know that it's coming tomorrow, so not really a big issue. Obviously, we know the 3v3 arenas are coming. Now, a lot of you guys will probably have followed the news, but for those of you who haven't, we'll have a quick skim through of the important parts. The 3v3 arenas are a queuable system. There's no proper like matchmaking, so there's no gear equalization or anything. It's literally the gear you have, and if you can solo queue, you can duo queue, and you can trio queue. And if you solo queue, you're just going to get put with like random people. There's no like, hey, I'm a healer, this guy's a DPS, and this guy's a tank. It's literally just random. So there's going to be probably like a bit of disparity between, you know, solo plays and trio queues, but that's okay. It's supposed to be a bit of fun rather than anything serious until we get ranked. You can play from level 20 onwards, but the reality is those queues are going to be pretty barren, so I wouldn't get your hopes up. Most of the queues are going to be level 60 plus. Here it says players level 20 and above can queue, and apparently the bracket is every 10 levels, so 20 to 29. Very much like World of Warcraft if you're familiar with that. It's a best of 5, but each match basically ends nearly after 2 minutes, because after 2 minutes you get this ring of fire, and then, you know, that'll kill you and it stops healing and that kind of stuff. The arenas are actually super really fun, and we'll talk more about them in a moment. In this update as well, we get a PvP reward track, something that's been desperately missing from New World for some time. It is not exclusive to arena. This isn't like a ranked arena with a reward track. Instead, this is just a flat out PvP reward track, so you can get it from doing missions, you can get it outpost rush, all that kind of good stuff. And in it, you'll basically go up levels, and the more you go up, the more you'll be able to like buy fancier gear and stuff like that. The gear looks like it's going to be super good, so it's something you're going to want to make sure you're progressing if you're interested in this. There are also now some new mutators, so if you were getting sick of the mutated runs because maybe it was all very samey to you, well, they've now added a extra set of mutations. That means there's now 27 new combinations. That should be fun for you guys who really like your mutated dungeons, expeditions. And along with that, you're going to be able to do the mutated version of the depths. So that'll be like literally an end game dungeon, level 60 loot, all that kind of good stuff. Really expanding the end game from, I think, 4 end game dungeons to now 5. Yeah, getting there, good. You probably run the depths while you're leveling up, but you might not be sick of it because you might have only done it a handful of times. They are also now expanding the Varangian Night story. Basically, there are some extra quests. There's like a whole fort zone, which is actually pretty damn cool. The problem with this is if you're already an end game player, there's no real reason to do these. There's no like really interesting rewards you get by doing them, so you can probably just skip them unless you just maybe want to prep for the future. But if you're a returning player or a new player wanting to level up, then there's more content for you with more variety of enemy types and that kind of stuff. So a nice little addition. I'd like it when they do this to maybe add a level 60 quest that's just a small quest, just to give us endgame players just something to do. You can now pre-select your pronouns, which was in the game at the start, and I kept selecting mine and it literally never like remembered it. So hopefully now it's actually just remembering it. And then the rest of it is literally just laid out like proper like normal patch notes. I'm not going to sit here and read them all. I don't want to make this video like 40 minutes long. What I will do is I'm just going to cherry pick the important ones and give it to you like that. Now, one massive change that I didn't mention at the start here is there are some big changes to combat. Basically, they're trying to not remove light dodging as a thing, but they don't want it to be able so you can just spam it all of the time. And along with that, they don't want routes to just be like the end of your life kind of thing. So they've made some significant changes with this. You can see they've also tweaked the attribute bonus, but for me, that's not the big one here. One thing that a lot of people, if you're a healer, are a little bit displeased about, they've changed the way that the healing is calculated, so it's actually more reasonable that when you get a modifier that it actually does the modification that it says it's going to do. But importantly, they've also essentially changed the coefficients for like light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor healing. Basically, heavy armor is now at -30, medium is like neutral, and light is +30. Effectively killing heavy healers, so it seems, but really trying to make healers play light armor. Now, you can think that's good or bad, it is what it is. The next one is this dodges, roots, and slows. So you can now dodge while rooted. Now you don't move, you just get the iframe, so you become invulnerable when you dodge. Basically means if you do get trapped in a grav well and you time your abilities correctly, it means that you might survive and not just get completely like obliterated. They've also increased the diminishing returns of CCs. Effectively, the more you get CC'd, the less effective they become. Your dodging is now affected by slow, so if you're slowed, you won't dodge as far. And they are increasing the delay before you get your stamina regen, trying to make it so you can dodge less. So on the live version, it's 1 second on the PTR, and hopefully in the new live version, they're changing that to 1.5 seconds. Basically because light spam dodging was just like a little bit insufferable, but then again, so was the being rooted. So they're trying to find a medium balance there. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out on live, but I think it's a positive idea. Whether or not it works in practice, we'll find out. Apparently they've improved the melee attack honing. It was very difficult for me to like try this on the PTR because of lag and stuff like that, but melee is very difficult at times because everybody's dodging around, you literally can't hit anybody. But again, if you make it too powerful like we had with the Great Axe at the start of the game, it becomes also insufferable in its own way. So we'll see how that plays out. The blunderbuss is getting like a little bit of a nerf, not a massive nerf, but they're just trying to like take off the edge of its one bow combo with the sword and shield. The bow is basically getting a buff. It's trying to make it a lot more smoother. So now like when you do your attacks and then you stop attacking, you can move a little bit more and stuff like that. Overall, a buff to the bow. I'll let the experts decide if it's like OP or anything. I'm not that kind of player. I'm not going to talk about the other like buffs and nerfs to other weapons. Some are buffs, some are nerfed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if they've gone too far with your favorite weapon. I'm sure you will. To go along with the PvP reward track, there are now going to be like PvP only perks. These are literally perks that only work in PvP. Some of them sound pretty cool, like just the top one, penetrating backstab. Backstabs penetrate 10% of a player's armor. These are nice, these are nice. Also, if they had PvP weapon perks, then, you know, that people might like that. So maybe that's something they're going to work towards. I'm not 100% sure why they did this, but they've made it so the bosses in invasions are not affected by Grafwell. That's going to make the invasions a little bit harder, I think. But I mean, I don't really like invasions, so it is what it is. Weirdly, it sort of seems like they're buffing the PvE in Outpost Rush, which they already nerfed once, but now they're making it so you get more materials. I'm not sure why. It is what it is. They've completely reworked the bonuses that forts give you. A lot of these are pretty cool, but there's nothing like game breaking here. One that I know Danny in particular is looking forward to is First Light because it increases your global refining yield by 10%. That's pretty decent. We got excited when we saw Morningdale because it increases the gear score ceiling crafted by 5. We didn't know it was ceiling when it first came out, and some of us thought, oh, you're going to be able to like guarantee like 600 or go above 600, and that's not necessarily the case. It's a very small note, but a very important one for the financial economics of the game. They've added some refinement recipes to the Gypsum Kiln, basically allowing you to convert multi-stat like ability perks, so like Dex and Focus, if that's even one, and you can convert that to either Dex or Focus. Pretty good change. Massive changes to the economy coming as well. They've basically increasing the amount of star metal and orichalcum, increasing the time that it spawns, so it spawns quicker. Same for gold and platinum. More nodes spawning quicker. That's going to go down in price and be more available in the market. They're also correcting some of the hides with tier 4 and tier 5. I'm not going to talk about it too much here, but if you know, you know, and if you don't, you probably don't care. They've slightly nerfed fishing because they're now fixing the trophies. Not really 100% sure why. It is what it is. Quite a lot of little quality of life improvements. Sure, something here might be the one thing that you hate, but I'm not going to go through them. That's all the patch notes that I really want to talk about in the main, and we'll try and actually answer the question as I scroll very quickly up. Will these PvP arenas actually save New World? And the answer is probably not. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoy the PvP arenas and I'm very excited to play them. However, I think it would be a little bit naive to suspect that New World is going to jump up to numbers that we had many months ago, like 30,000 or something like that. It's probably going to give us a bump, probably to like 21,000, 22,000, maybe like 23, 24. I'd be surprised if we get much more than that. However, I would love to be wrong. If the game comes back and everybody's like, oh my god, PvP arena is so much fun, and everybody starts trickling back, you wouldn't find a happier man. But I think it's a little bit naive, as I said, to expect a massive jump. Like, games generally don't work like that. If you can see, it's sort of very slightly trended down. We might see a massive bump like the first couple of days. You know, we're probably going to get Asmongold trying them out, I would guess. The game will get a massive bump, but I think in literally probably less than a month's time, the numbers will be back to a more stable number. Hopefully that stable number is higher than, say, what we have now. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be like make or break to the game kind of thing. However, saying that, I do really enjoy the PvP arenas, and if you're level 60 and you want to try them out, I would very much recommend that tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching this, that you get in there and you try them, because they're actually really fun. The PvP reward track, very much needed. I'm a little bit annoyed it took this long to get in the game. There was no real like proper rewards. Now that are. I would sort of preferred like an actual like reputation, so you knew what you were going to get and you could like save up for it and get it, a little bit like the faction vendor. But I'll take this as like a second best kind of thing. New mutated stuff's always good. New dungeon always good for the people who really like that PvE. So is it going to save New World? Probably not. I think most players are only going to come back when we get an expansion and a lot of the game mechanics sort of change and stuff like that. However, I could see this as being the start of the improvement. Having like repeatable close scale combat like that sounds really fun, because I do think New World does those small scale fights really well. It really highlights the combat. Bit of me yearns for the day if we had Stagger back, but that's fine, I'll get over that. So I would recommend everybody comes back and try it, but if you're a New World fan already, I wouldn't necessarily expect miracles from this update. I have made a new MMO channel which is literally just dedicated to the MMO genre as a whole, whereas I'm sticking with this one being New World because I still very much love it. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below. Do consider checking that out. You can also now join as a member. It's mostly for the stream that I do on YouTube, but if you wanted to do it just to support me, I'd love you to, but no pressure, it's all okay. But please do have a most beautiful day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.